right. Well, welcome back to part two of the show. And we're just going to get into what is the crazy season, the transfer season. We've seen, you know, just today, we've seen Paul Arriola heading to join Jordan Morris at Swansea.
Was it? It's
And
a loan with no purchase option, but they're in talks that if they want to, they can type of thing.
yes, I mean, there's no such
No
thing.
official option purchase.
there's no such thing as, even if there's not a clause in there that says, well, we can offer to buy afterwards. If they like what they got, they're going to make an offer. So Paul has
Sure.
an opportunity here to impress to the point where they're willing to open up the wallet. Now, what's really slick and savvy about this move by Swansea City is they all of a sudden become the fastest the fastest team out wide in the championship in a little over a week and a half by getting Morris and Arriola. And it's not even the kind of game they play. They don't really do a lot of stuff, fast stuff down the line, attacking stuff down the line. They're almost primarily kind of a possession ball sort of team. So this is really an interesting move by Swansea. I'm just kind of curious what, they think they're getting out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds the pace there, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be quick on the edges. We saw Morris get his first handful of minutes this weekend. He didn't look out of place. He didn't have a lot of opportunities out there, but hopefully, we'll see him get 20 minutes next time, and maybe 30 the next, or maybe even get a start. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Swansea's doing this because they are, they're headed for promotion, and they want to make sure that's what happens. So they're loading them up on reinforcements as they head forward. And then we saw the big move by Chris Richards to Hoffenheim.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one,
yeah. That is a good move because there's really no chance he's going to get playing time with Bayern.
Well, he's not consistent. He may get a bit of time here and there, but
yeah, still. That's it. Because, I mean, they're already locked in with their center backs for the rest of the season. There would need to be significant injuries, and they tried him out on the right back spot. And even though he got an assist and everybody was excited about him playing, if you watch that whole game, he wasn't very good. He looked very nervous. He made some really bad errors. And while I'm excited that he got the opportunity, right back's really not his position.
No, I agree. There was at least another game, maybe two, but there's at least another game where he did come in at center back, and he looked perfectly fine there. He looked perfectly comfortable, ready to play. But no, I think this loan is great for him because it's gonna shore up the options of him possibly seeing more playing time and move on from there. But he definitely wasn't going to be a contender for Bayern's starting lineup at this point, by any means.
No, and Hoffenheim is statistically the fifth worst defense in the Bundesliga. They need help. They're giving up goals left and right. They're scoring goals, but they're giving up more than they're scoring by a lot. And they need to remedy that situation. And they have had problems in the back four all season long because they're really a decent attacking team, but they're giving away goals. So maybe this is their way of trying to plug that hole. And it could end up being a really good loan spell for Richards. I'm sure they're going to ease him in. Although I thought that about a lot of players. I thought that when Miazga went to Anderlecht, I thought, oh, they'll ease him in. No, boop, straight into the starting lineup.
I think Miazga's definitely had playing time around Europe. So I mean, it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise for him to just jump right in, into the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Anderlecht, and they are one of the top Belgian clubs. I thought they might ease him in there, but no, he just started right away. And Mark McKenzie basically got off the plane, watched one game and started the next. So, and when we saw Reggie Cannon get off the plane and jump straight into the starting lineup at Boa Vista, when we'll get into that later.
But, I mean, they needed some assistance there, though.
Boa Vista is a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, they need the help. So that makes more sense than the others,
Yeah, we may see, unfortunately for Reggie Cannon, who was left off the starting lineup last game and didn't even get in the game because Boa Vista switched to playing three in the back and two attacking wingbackers. That's not really Reggie Cannon's strength. He's a great defensive player.
Great
Not sure
one-on-one defender, yeah.
he's not that great going forward. That's not his forte. And so if Boa Vista won that game, they did win that game. And if they stick with the three in the back, Reggie may find himself riding pine for a good portion of the rest of the season. I hope I'm wrong about that, but Boa Vista are desperate. They need wins, and that three in the back got them a win last game. And they may look at that and go, well, then that's what we're going to play. Three in the back. And that will leave Reggie out going forward. Who are some of the other big moves? Let's see here.
Yedlin.
Yedlin to Galatasaray. That's correct.
Yep.
That's really a decent move for him. The Turkish league is somewhere where he can be really competitive. I think the challenge for him is going to be just getting used to a different culture, different languages, different language, excuse me.
Yeah, but he needed to change the scenery badly.
He did. And, Newcastle went out of their way in 5 of their last 7 games to give him some playing time to shop him around a bit. And
but
so,
in fairness to Newcastle on that, it's not like he stood out as like a sore thumb. I mean, he played well for most of the time.
He did. But, they're kind of loaded out wide there. And he's just excess, and they just don't need him. I mean, Bruce has said that numerous times. Listen, I value him, but, we're loaded in those positions. And, so we kind of knew this was coming. People had talked about him coming back to MLS. I figured it'd be somewhere. I didn't think it would be Turkey, but that seems to be the new hot spot.
Yeah, I didn't see him coming back to MLS. I would have imagined, given his time with the U.S. national team and then with Newcastle, that he would have been picked up somewhere. I mean, it was almost a guarantee. I mean, I couldn't imagine him coming back that quickly.
Yeah, and then we saw.
Oh, Jackson, go talk to mommy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Turkey, we did see during this break Eric Lehigh leave Fatih Karagümrük. And again, that was sort of by mutual consent. Although he started and played most of the games, I think that what I'm hearing through the grapevine is he was just having a hard time making that transition. The culture was different. He was locked. And then you're locked in your apartment. You don't have your family and friends with you. You're far away from home, and it was just too tough. And he even said, I think in a report I read, he wanted to go back to the championship. Well, unfortunately for him, the window's closed, and there was nothing on the wire about him getting signed. So we'll see what happens there. And then our other good buddy, Tyler Boyd.
Mr. Boyd.
Was loaned from Besiktas, where he was getting 0 playing time.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he was not able to play up until recently.
That's right, because of changes in the rules.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought I had read something that he was highly touted or highly thought of by the manager, just couldn't play for club reasons.
I think that's a fine thing for the manager to say.
Sure.
But let's be honest here. When they had a big handful of foreign players and they had to get rid of a couple, they got rid of him. They didn't get rid of the Canadians. They got rid of him.
Sure.
So I don't know what that says, and it's a very nice thing for his manager to say, but I think he has...
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I think he struggled a bit there this season. When they moved him more centrally, he played a lot better as sort of an attacking midfielder, but out wide, he was really having a rough time. So we'll see what happens. He's back with Sivasspor, and he should get a chance to play there for sure.
So while we're on subject of managers speaking highly of players, did you see the comment of Bremen's manager about Sargent?
Yes, that he could turn into one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga. I think, again, very nice thing to say.
Well, and what at the beginning of the season, I mean, he came out flat out stated that you know, that he can't think of a single lineup that wouldn't include Sargent.
Right.
And then he's in there and he does all the dirty work. So I mean, I think this falls into line with. I don't know. Maybe coach is saying like, hey, on a different team, maybe he could be a top tier striker.
I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think Werder Bremen's going to survive this year. I think they're going to
I mean,
stay
it
up.
looks like they're going to survive. I mean, unless they have just a complete drop off in form. I don't know. Have you been watching their games past handful of weeks?
I have. I've been trying to catch all of them.
Yeah. As hard as I was on them at the beginning of the season, I've started to like them more and more recently.
Well,
they started patching
players.
things together and doing well. And quite frankly, it's not like they're outclassed when it comes to playing against most teams. They just don't create a lot of opportunities.
Yeah,
which sucks for Sargent.
Yeah, they tend to be very defensive and try to play on the counter, which doesn't work when you don't have, like, say, a super sprinty fast wingers on your team, which they really don't have either.
Was it in most games? All I hear from the announcers are, the most technically talented player, the most tactically talented player, and the fastest player, and the highest jumping player is all Sargent.
Yeah, I know.
Not to toot his horn by any means here, but maybe if Bremen had 11 Sargents, who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of back in the day when Bruce Arena said Clemson would be lucky to have 11 or 10 Landon Donovans. Yeah, listen, people are giving Sargent a hard time. He doesn't deserve it. The role he plays is a hold-up center forward and a distributor. He did finally score recently.
It was a nice goal, too.
I know. So hopefully people will get off his back. I see so much senseless criticism of him and saying, well, Matthew Hoppy's better than he is already. Well, no.
Is it Hoppy or Hoppy?
Hoppy. Yeah, he's not better than Sargent already. Did he have a good string of 3 games? He certainly did. He was very opportunistic, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
So and I've only watched a couple of Schalke games, and that's basically stemming from when Hoppy was starting to see playing time. But I mean, he's definitely opportunistic, and it kind of reminds me and rings the bell of sort of like a Wondolowski type of opportunistic, like right place, right time, works hard, gets the goal.
Yeah, and the other thing you can give him over Wondolowski is he's faster, he's quicker.
I like Wando. Don't get me wrong. I just
Yeah, he's got a good poacher's nose, but he's got a lot of things that Wando never had, and that's speed. But he's no Josh Sargent just yet.
Not yet. No, I would definitely hold Sargent over him any day of the week.
People need to chill out a little and not just live in the moment. Like let the poor kid Hoppy play a season, and let's see how he does over 15 games, 20 games, 25 games, not 4 games, 5 games. He's got a lot of work to do. But speaking of transfers and speaking of this window, it was Nick Tataglu or Tatagi. How do you pronounce that guy's last name? This goes back to your idea earlier, Brett, of having a website with all the players' names on it, pronounced properly so you know how to say it. It's spelled Taitague. Now, Nick was supposed to be the superstar youth signing out of the United States for Schalke, and he was just cut loose before his contract was up. So has no team, has no club right now. And I don't know where he's going to go. Maybe he'll go where Chris Gloucester goes, because Chris Gloucester is also going home. PSV2 are cutting him loose. So that didn't work out for either of those players. But Nick Tataglu was the most touted of the young players, one of the most touted of the young players we have. And he just watched Matthew Hoppy pass right on by him, get promoted to the first team, and start scoring goals and playing games. And they cut him loose. So I don't know if you have any extra information about that, Brett, but that's hard.
That caught me off guard, in all honesty. And I like how you over-exaggerated his last name. And I think that's how we're going to have to do it until we hear otherwise.
Yeah, Tataglu. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, before the season started, there was articles, I can't remember what websites, what soccer websites, and they were interviewing Nick, and they was all this. He was excited because he thought he was finally going to get a chance to make the first team, and he
Mm-hmm.
had a few injuries here and there, but especially last season. But yeah, he couldn't even get time on the Schalke 2 team. Then you knew something was really not going well. And
Mm-hmm.
then boom, gone. So, and no real word of
It's one of
why.
those things like you almost wonder if it's like an attitude on the training pitch type of approach. Because I mean, you saw things with like Julian Green and a number of other players
Young
where
players
where they
have that
just
issue.
where they're highly touted and maybe they're too highly touted. I don't know. Um, but then they don't do the nitty gritty work that needs to be done. And they get left
Well,
off, and all of a sudden they're ditched.
yeah, well, that's a great transition to the next topic, which is Dwayne Holmes made a move from Derby to Huddersfield after being publicly criticized by Wayne Rooney for being lazy, essentially, in practice and saying he doesn't work hard enough.
It's such a
And
shame because man, the one game that he played for the United States, man, he looked like he was going to amount to a lot. Looked like he was a lot of fun out there.
yeah,
Very
and,
energetic, very technically gifted. I mean, not very, but technically gifted enough.
yeah.
But I
Well,
just it's like I watched him play and I was like, oh, this will be fun. And then you see him languishing out there. I'm like, oh, what's happening?
yeah. I mean, it's been well known for some time that he has an attitude. And I can relate a story that was told to me by someone fairly close to the U.S. men's national team who was witness to um, some mouthiness between Holmes and Greg Berhalter
Oh, that would
was
explain it. Then never mind.
that was quite uncomfortable. That's how it was described to me.
Yeah.
Um, and so, if he does have an attitude problem, it's something he needs to fix. It's kind of like Yedlin last season with Newcastle. You could tell he just did not give a crap. He didn't want to be there. Even when he got to play, he didn't pay attention half the time. The balls just went right by him. And, he was obviously disappointed about not playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not take long. As soon as Wayne Rooney became manager, Dwayne Holmes didn't play anymore. So I don't know if they have a rift between one another, but it did not take long for him to head to Huddersfield. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, who else do we have? We had quite a few moves.
PK to Barnsley while we're in the championship and everything.
Yeah, that's an interesting move. I imagine he'll get some time to play there. Maybe not a lot.
He'll get an
I
opportunity. Hopefully, he just takes his opportunities and go with it. This again, this stems into the fact that, what we were talking about earlier. When you just got to stick your nose to the grindstone and just work, 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 work. You may get
yeah,
your chances. You may not. You may end up back at Orlando. You never know.
yeah.
But go there and bust your ass, do your best, go from there.
Well, and now for some lesser exciting moves. It is understood there is some sort of agreement between Bobby Wood and Real Salt Lake. So he will be picking the splinters out of his butt and heading to MLS. We don't know what the arrangement is, but I'm guessing it's whenever MLS actually starts again, which we really don't know when that is. So until then, apparently he's at Hamburg. And Bobby Wood, he really did not ingratiate himself there in Hamburg when they were relegated. He demanded a loan away from Hamburg. They sent him to Hanover, where Hanover proceeded to be relegated, and so they weren't interested in buying Bobby Wood. And then once he returned to Hamburg, the coach openly said this guy, he didn't support us through the hard times, and we'll see if he
Mm-hmm.
gets to play or not. Well, the answer was he wasn't going to play, and he'd been basically riding pine for 2 years, maybe getting 5 minutes here at the end of a game here and there. It's time for him to go, but I think it might be this might be the time, Brett, to say that's probably it for Bobby Wood on the national team.
You could have said that a couple years ago. In all honesty, I liked Bobby Wood. I thought I enjoyed what he brought to the picture as a whole. He brought a lot of energy, a lot of physicality, but he just didn't amount to his potential, in my opinion.
No,
I mean,
no, he didn't.
I'm not saying he would have been a top tier striker by any means, but he definitely could have been a journeyman striker through many various leagues.
Yep.
And done well for himself, even with the national team. But yeah, I mean, a couple of bad choices from what you were stating there, at least. And I had that type of approach when it came to players who left Juve whenever they got relegated to Serie B. And when the players who quickly ditched jumped ship, and at that point, I was just like, I'll never like those players ever again.
Yep.
Same concept.
Yeah.
I mean, the Juve was never going to languish down in Serie B forever.
Right.
But it's just like after there's like 6 or 7 starters that sort of like just jump ship, and I was like, those fuckers.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue to the next move that happened, which was Soto, his loan to Telstar in the second division of the Dutch of Holland, ending his loan early and heading back to Norwich City, where it was reported that it was expected that his UK work permit would be approved and that he would be going home to Norwich City.
That whole work permit issue in the UK boggles my mind sometimes.
It does, but the reason I say it's a good segue because we were talking about attitude issues earlier. There have been some reports here and there coming out of the woodwork about him having it, and this starts actually going back to when he was at Hanover, and the coach has said, we don't want this guy around anymore. He's a pain in the ass. He complains a lot. He's kind of so I hope that these things aren't true. But, when your coach at Hanover says, I'm not playing him because he doesn't work hard, that's not good. And hopefully that's not the case. And hopefully that's not the real reason Telstar said goodbye. I hope not. I hope it was just the work permit thing. So I don't expect him to be playing for Norwich City this season. However, he's already played one game he played it yesterday for the Norwich U23s. And along with John Tompkinson, who's also an American who plays for the U23s there. So, but I don't know if you do. I just don't see him being thrown to the Wolves this early time.
No, I mean, quite frankly, he's going to get sent back. He's going to get worked through the U23s and go from there. Unless Norwich hits a striker shortage, injuries and stuff.
Injuries, yeah.
But I don't see it happening. Although I've always liked Soto. I've always liked his performances with youth national teams. He did he got a brace with the men's national team just recently.
Yep.
So I mean, he's got the skills. He's got the talent. Hopefully his time at Hanover, if that story is true, hopefully after he left Hanover that his attitude got corrected.
I hope you're right. But
crossed, how many talented players can you say that have fallen through the woodwork because their attitudes were shit?
Yeah, we could name a few. Now, some of them have corrected that. Julian Green is obviously having a brilliant season.
Great season so far.
Yeah, so it can be fixed. It's usually just a young person's problem. When you mature, you don't act like an idiot anymore, and or a baby or a sore loser.
Well, when you're a big fish in a small pond for so long, and then you're not getting, the playing time that you're expecting and stuff like that. It's easy to lose your throw a temper tantrum when you're young.
Yes,
you're not seeing the big picture.
Hey, I'm guilty of it too when I was young. Trust me. When our coach took us out of the state finals in Kentucky, I think it was David Ward, who was our center midfielder, stood up and at halftime said, "Hey, we're playing the best team in the state. Quit pulling our players out. They are fit. They can play a whole game. We can't afford to have any of our bench players out in this game. And the coach listened. We didn't get pulled for the whole second half because, you know, in high school soccer, you can pull them out, give them a 5-minute rest and throw them in like it's basketball. Well, you know, we couldn't even afford to do that against Ballard because they were that good. I got a shout out here, Brett, I got to read. It's an email from Russ Miller, who says his son, who is 16, Carver Miller, goalkeeper at Arminia Bielefeld in Germany, has been promoted to the U19s. So out of the youth program and into the U19s. So that's not really a transfer, but I mean, it'll show up on the transfer wire. But his father wrote me an email and wanted us to give him a shout out.
That's
so
good.
there's that.
Cool.
Other transfer, Brandon Austin to Orlando City on loan from Tottenham's U23s. I don't know if he'll get any playing time at Orlando City. I don't know. I really don't. I would guess he'll be a backup.
Sure.
And then, you know, there's also this question really of whether or not Brandon Austin even has the credentials in the future to play for the U.S. men's national team, because they say his connections to the U.S. are flimsy. But if they were flimsy, then he would have to be listed as a foreign player by Orlando, and they are not listing as a foreign signing or a foreign loan. So something's going on there.
We'll say, jumping back to Europe real quick, because I feel like we missed at least one player, 2 players maybe. I think we talked about this off air. I don't know if we talked about it on air yet or not. With Brian Reynolds, have we talked about Brian yet?
Oh, Brian Reynolds to Roma.
Yeah. Like we talked about this beforehand before we started the show and everything, but I assumed that the trip to Juventus was secure and that he was going to be loaned out. But apparently, it sounds like he's off to Roma now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole rumor
for a 6-month loan with the option to buy.
The news I read, this is Italian news, so, you know, take it with whatever grain of salt you want. Although they don't tend to exaggerate as badly as the English press do, said that, the original plan was to Juventus and a loan out for the rest of the season to Benevento. And then Roma just dropped in out of nowhere and offered more money and a better deal and a higher salary, and he took it. And so that was almost not a real last second offer. I think it came in a few days after the Juventus offer. I don't think in either way, in either team, had it been Juventus instead of Roma, I don't think he's playing anytime real soon. He's very young. He wasn't even a regular starter really for Dallas until, you know, kind of in the latter parts of last season.
So, well, I mean, and quite frankly, looking at Juve, and I've watched. Obviously, I'm a Juve fan.
Yeah.
But once you break down from their starting options, they're shuffling wingbacks from back and forth. You know, there's room for opportunity, but quite frankly, I think that the loan would have been the better option to give him the opportunity to play. Because you're right. I don't think he would have seen any playing time for Juve. Not this season, obviously for technical reasons. But I don't even think that he would see next season. I think the loan would be the best option, in all honesty. The deal is a loan with the obligation to make a transfer permanent this summer. So it's a loan to Roma.
This is like them testing out the new, you know, motorcycle or whatever that's coming out. Like,
they're going to bring it. They're going to bring him in. He may not necessarily see the field, but they're going to bring him in, and they're going to see if they're going to say this is somebody we want to invest in.
I agree. It's not like they're doing this, you know, because they're bored. They're doing it because, first of all, FC Dallas has a long history with Richards and McKennie and a whole host of other players now in Europe on youth teams in Germany who are products of their academy. They have, you know, history of that. So this is just a test drive, basically, is what this is.
They're going to bring him in. They're going to see what he can do. Probably give him a little bit of playing time here and there, maybe against weaker teams, or just bit time at the end, or maybe not even at all. He might not even see the pitch, but they're gonna feel him out and see what he's capable of. He may see playing time with their younger teams, and go from there.
Yeah.
I mean, kid's still young. He's 19 years old, so he has plenty of room to develop there. But they're gonna see how he works it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're looking around, and they're saying to themselves, "Wow, look at how good McKenny's doing," or "Look how good all these kids are turning out in Germany." There seems to be a golden generation for the United States. Let's dip our toe into the waters and see if we can't, like a 49er, hit gold, just like some of the other teams have.
Sure.
Any other thoughts on Reynolds?
Not really. I mean, we're going to see what's going to happen. We'll see what happens there. I did have a couple other players.
I have a list. I have a list of them here now, so I've got them all. And if I miss them, let me know.
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna start from the top. I'm even gonna cover some of the small things. Kevin Langford, loan from St. Pauli to Wehen Wiesbaden. That's a downward trend for Kevin Langford. He was playing pretty regularly for St. Pauli, and for whatever reason, they sent him down a level lower. I think that could be because Wiesbaden is actually making a run at promotion into 2 Liga, and so they wanted, to solidify their wide positions. They already have an American there named Maurice Malone. I don't know if everyone's heard of him. He is a dual national, and he has been firing on all cylinders for Wiesbaden. He's on loan to Wiesbaden this season, and he's one of the reasons they're fighting for promotion. A kid to keep an eye on going forward. Andrew Wooten transferred from Philadelphia to Admira Wacker in the Austrian Bundesliga and already played a full 90 minutes this weekend. Again, that's not something that's that relevant. I think Andrew Wooten's possibilities of ever playing for the U.S. men's team ended as soon as he came and played for Philadelphia and was not a regular starter. Mix Diskerud, the long-forgotten U.S. men's national team player, was loaned to Denizlispor from Man City. Yes, Man City still owns his contract. But he'll be playing along with Boyd and Yedlin in the highest division in Turkey. And Indiana Vasilev, who shocked us all last season by getting minutes and playing for Aston Villa, was loaned out to who was he loaned out to? It did not work out. It ended early, but it was a League One team. He barely played. I guess the staff didn't rate him. It was Burton Albion, and he was sent back to Aston Villa early before the loan was over. They immediately loaned him back out to Cheltenham Town in this League Two. So he's gone down another level, which this is kind of heading in the wrong direction for Indiana.
At this point, why don't they just cut his contract? Just say, hey, you're cut. Done.
I mean, if you can't make it at Burton Albion, I don't know. That's not good after all of us were so excited by his first games for Aston Villa last season. Did you catch any of those?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I don't have the Peacock.
Oh, God, the Peacock. Don't get me started.
I've been catching a bunch of Bundesliga and Serie A games because I got ESPN Plus.
Yeah. Well, I have pretty good word to confirm that the Caden Clark deal to RB Leipzig is confirmed and done.
There it is. Yeah, 2022. Yep, I had it marked here. That's one of the ones I was going to cover.
Go ahead, and if you have any others, that was the bulk of
not
list.
necessarily an immediate, last second transfer, but obviously Aronson to Salzburg. Aronson.
Brendan Aronson, yes. How could we forget Aronson? Yes, I forgot him. He is on a different list that I have here, but it happened so long ago, and he's already played 3 games. It
feels like so long ago. It wasn't so long ago, but...
Well, he's already played 3 games, right?
Yeah,
that was really early on in the transfer market.
Sure. No,
And,
yeah, I brought him up just simply because it's recent, you know?
yep, he's played 3 games. He started one of them. He has an assist. He's doing well. He played a little nervous on his first start, I have to say. I watched the entire game,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a bit nervous, but he pulled it together. He made some early errors. Errors here and there. He was trying to do too much, as new players often do, because they want to impress.
Sure.
He pushed it a little too hard here and there, but he'll pull that. Jesse Marsh will rein that in, and I think he'll do fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a talent, Brett. He's a talent.
Yeah. Yep.
And did you have any others?
That
There's
was my-
Scally.
that-
We forgot Scally, Joe Scally.
Sure.
When did that move go? That move had been planned for some time, though, hadn't it?
Not 100% positive.
Let me see here. I'm pretty sure that move was planned for some time for Gladbach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if they're going to, yeah, he's there now. So he did not play in Gladbach's recent U23 game. So maybe he's going straight to the first team. I don't know. That would surprise me, frankly, that he wouldn't play with the Gladbach 2 team, but it's possible. He did here.
New York City and FC Dallas definitely have and New York Red Bulls definitely have a pipeline into Europe.
They're doing something right in New York. They're doing something right at NYCFC. Although a lot of people really don't consider Gio Reyna to be an NYCFC kid, but that's where he grew up. That's where he played his academy soccer since he was 12, 11? I don't know, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give them some credit for, the way he's developed, but I'm sure having 2 athletic parents didn't hurt his, becoming what he's become. Maybe we should talk, Brett, about some of the players, since I think that's just about all of them. There's probably a few we missed here and there, and somebody will, stick a finger in our eye for missing some of these players. But quite frankly,
or just because they want to.
Yeah, and that's okay if they want to do that. It's always good to get a good stick in the eye on occasion.